Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello, you Potter Than Hellions out there. Welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve. I'm your host, and I am joined as always by
BC
and
BB.
And our keyboard player is
Dylan.
And we are joined by a special guest host this week, Mark Anthony Kay, the awesome artist from the Project Gemini. And Mark, how are you, buddy?
Good. How you guys doing?
We are great. Hey, Mark, before we get into anything here, what's going on with you?
Well, as you guys probably know, I'm doing a pre-order right now for my second record called A Brand New Day. It comes out on December 1st, so there's about a week left of the pre-order, and then all things, being as they are, and hopefully with the pressing people being on schedule, I will receive my CDs by the correct date, and I will, of course, start sending them out December 1st. So if anybody hasn't ordered anything yet, the best thing to do is simply go to www.projectgemini.com and you'll find all the ordering information right there on a nice little flyer that's put up now on the website. It's very easy to follow, and if you want to grab a CD, go ahead and do it right there.
That's great. And I have to tell everybody out there, Mark has released a few songs from A Brand New Day, and they're great. They're right in the same vein of the first CD, and it's just great. We can't wait to hear the whole thing and put it together.
Oh, great. I'm glad that you like it, and I think that this one's going to be just as good, maybe a little bit, I'm guessing it's going to be a touch heavier, a little bit more guitar action, a little less keyboards, but that's not to, detract people who like that style away from it. It's still there. It's just, I think this batch of songs had a little bit more emphasis on guitar on it.
Yeah, it seems like the two that you released already have been a little more guitar heavier. Yeah, and then I gotta say, BC, he's got the Project Gemini sweatshirt on today in the studio here. So we're even though you can't see us, we're still representing here.
Oh, and one more thing, just really quickly. On my Project Gemini Facebook group page. I'm not sure if you guys have noticed, but I've made a set of 3 coffee mugs that are available for people. I know that those are pretty popular amongst people, that they've been ordering them quite a bit. And there is a Christmas mug that's available as well that has kind of the Project Gemini circle style logo, but made into a Christmas wreath. So if you're interested, go to the page. And they're going for very cheap. I made them for as cheap as I could possibly make them. I think it's just $8 US. So.
Now, can we drink beer out of them or just coffee?
You can drink whatever you want out of it. You want to drink Jack Daniels? Go ahead.
All right. Hey, there you go, BC. All right, awesome, you guys. Check out Project Gemini, and we will post the link on our Facebook page, and give Mark a little support there. And hey, if you have a music fan out there in your family or for yourself, treat yourself to a Christmas present. Get a little Project Gemini for yourself. And Mark, I just wanted, before we get going, thank you for joining us this week. I know it's pretty hectic for you now with getting everything ready to go, and we just appreciate you helping us out this week.
Oh, I love the show. I listen to it every week. You guys have been putting it out. I just finished listening to the Mount Rushmore stuff, and it's very good. I'm thoroughly entertained as usual. Of course, with Sunny on there last week, it was fun as well. So I love being on the show, and anytime you guys want me back, I'm here.
Great. We really appreciate it. And before we get into our topic, I want to real quick, BC, BB, and myself, we went to see what we thought was Night Ranger and Loverboy in concert this weekend, but it turned out to be Loverboy and Night Ranger. We got there, and Night Ranger opened up the show, which to me was really strange.
Very strange, I thought, because Night Ranger's been, they're still putting out current music today, nothing against Loverboy, but there gets a bigger draw, I thought, but a little surprising, but
yeah, like you said, I couldn't believe we walked in. You could see the big, humongous Night Ranger backdrop, and I didn't really think anything of it. But then you look at the way the stage was set up, you're like, where's the Loverboy stuff?
There's nothing in front of the Night Ranger stuff. So
yeah, so that was very odd.
Yeah, it was. It was surprising, and we saw Night Ranger, many times, and it was, out of all the times I've seen Night Ranger, it was probably not. I'm not saying it wasn't great, it wasn't excellent, but it was probably my least favorite time of seeing them. They did some cover tunes, and they didn't have a whole set. They no meat, right? Though we had a lot of gravy, but not a lot of meat in the set. There. But it's still good. Loverboy, they were a lot better than they were at M3, I think. So we just wanted to throw that out there. So if you guys see them on tour, don't let us dissuade you. They're still awesome. It's just we like the heavier stuff, but they played a lot of the more ballady type stuff.
Can I jump in?
Sure,
good.
Okay, just a couple things. Being Canadian, of course, and Loverboy being of that dissuasion, or at least recording a lot of the stuff in our country. Loverboy is surprisingly popular. In fact, I think there's a Loverboy Greatest Hits CD that's out that actually has written in it that they have well over 15 number one hit singles. So I think the reason why they were put as the headliner is that in the promoter's eyes, they look on paper as the bigger draw that way than Night Ranger are.
Okay, I could see that. We were just, I would say, probably under the wrong impression because they had the tickets printed out, Night Ranger and Loverboy, because usually they put the headliner first, and that's what kind of maybe threw us off there.
Cool. Well, I mean, like I said, I love Night Ranger. Jeff Watson was one of a person that was really inspirational to me with his whole 8-finger guitar tapping thing that he used to do before. And I know he's not in the band anymore, but that was the Night Ranger that I was into.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's a lot of the signature solos that you hear beside, you can definitely tell when it's Brad Gillis playing and when it's definitely someone else playing. And you could, and Jeff Watson had his own signature sound also in the band. So, and not that they've ever had anybody bad. They've had Joel Hoekstra in the band. They have Kerry Kelly now, two guys that, not to say you don't miss them, but like you really don't, because those guys are just very, very good. All right, that does it for that. Before we get rolling, we're going to do one more thing. We're not going to do any news tonight because there's not a whole hell of a lot going on, I don't think. And it's good to have an episode where we're not, giving condolences to someone that has passed away, which, has sadly been something that has been reoccurring on every episode. We are going to go around the horn real quick here and see what everybody's currently listening to. Mark, what do you got going? Do you even have any time to listen to anything else besides working on your stuff and listen to the Hotter Than Hell podcast?
Yeah, surprisingly enough, I put up a video the other day of just some vinyls that I've recently acquired on my Mark's Vinyl Collection video that I put on my little Project Gemini YouTube channel. And I've been getting into a Judas Priest kick of late because they've reissued their albums now on vinyl. And there's a whole, Sony Music has done this whole bunch of reissues, and they look really nice, these new pressings of their albums. And I just recently picked up a copy of Stained Class, and I also picked up a copy of Unleashed in the East, so I've been listening to that a lot lately.
Excellent. Stained Class is a very underrated album, I think, of Judas Priest. A lot of great stuff on there. Excellent. BC, what do you got for us this week?
I got a little Babylon AD with their brand new one that just came out, Revelation Highway. Very straightforward rock, I think, and they're sticking to their guns with their distinct twist sound.
Yeah, they're really good. I wasn't even aware that they had an album out until BC and I worked yesterday together. I checked some of the stuff out. It's very, very good. Maybe any familiarity with Babylon AD?
I am not. I'm going to have to check them guys out.
Come on. All right. How about you, Mark?
Expand my horizon.
No, to be honest, I'm not very familiar with their music at all.
Okay, so now the two of you guys have something else to check out.
A little homework.
Yeah. BB, how about you?
Yeah.
I've been throwing in a little Black Label Society. Currently, what really stuck out in their catalog for me the last couple of days was Catacombs of the Black Vatican. This album they only made with 3 guys. Zach does a lot of the stuff, and JD's there with the bass, and a local guy by the name of Chad Saliga is on the drums. You guys probably know him from Breaking Benjamin. And it's not, and it's a wide range of Black Label stuff, and not a lot of crazy pedals. some slower tunes. There are some, heavy Zach stuff, and there's piano songs on there. My Dying Time's a really good song. Angel of Mercy, another real cool song. But that's it.
Good pick. BC, on Little Black Label there, what do you think?
I mean, I've been a fan of Zach for many, many years, so I mean, I like everything they put out, even the mellow stuff.
The mellow stuff isn't bad sometimes.
Yeah.
Good for a change.
Yeah. I mentioned on the other show about Zach that he kind of gets a little monotonous for me, but that is a really good pick. And there's a lot of diverse songs on that album, too, which really makes it good. Mark, any love for Zach Wilde?
I always loved Zach. Like the minute he joined Ozzy back in the No Rest for the Wicked time, I thought he was a phenomenal guitar player. When he went on his own, I kind of just didn't connect with it. To me, it was very much a Leonard Sabbath kind of sound to me, which I just didn't like. I just thought that it sounded like Black Sabbath with like Leonard Skinner vocals almost style to it. So it didn't connect to me really at all. But I love him as a guitar player.
That's an interesting take on those. Yeah. I never thought of that. Is kind of a great way to describe hey, wow, look at us, see, we're learning all kinds of shit here today.
I never heard Zach Wilde and Leonard Skinner in the same sentence.
True. Cool. Very, very astute observation there, Mark. Cool. And I cannot stop listening to the new Black Country Communion album, yes. Black BCC4. It is just outstanding. You have Joe Bonamassa, Glenn Hughes, Jason Bonham, Derek Sherinian. Open up a book and look under Supergroup, and they're definitely going to be in the top realms of that. And it's an amazing album. And Glenn Hughes, here's a guy, not that I enjoy the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer from Deep Purple. His voice right now is still top notch. And let's just listen to the melody he sings in the song called "Over My Head." It's just phenomenal, and I love these guys. I was so happy to hear that when they were recording. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this album maybe on another show, but it's one of them albums I can't take out of my rotation. Mark, anything for these guys?
I like this band very much. I'm a huge fan, and you're going to think I'm going to say Joe Bonamassa, and while I do like him a lot, my favorite member of this band is Derek Sherinian. I think that he's actually a keyboard player who can mimic a guitar player better than some guitar players can play guitar. Because his keyboard sounds sometimes, the way he solos, he can make his keyboard sound like the greatest distorted guitar I've ever heard. It's unbelievable what this guy can do with a keyboard. And the Sons of Apollo band that he's in with now, that's just another unbelievable band.
I got your copy right now, and I'm currently checking it out. So,
BC's jury's still out.
Like you said, what a super group with those guys. You look at those guys on paper, you don't think they can actually release anything bad. With Glenn Hughes, with his pipe still, being top notch. Yeah, it's a really good pick, really good album.
Yeah, it's great. And I just want to tell everybody out there, let us know what you're currently listening to. If it's something you don't think that would be on our radar, let us know. We'll check it out. And I'll challenge anybody to give me an album or give one of us an album to check out, and I will personally check it out, and I will get back to you, and we will mention it on the show. So a little homework for you guys out there. And with that, we're going to get into our main topic here this week. And actually, this topic BB brought to me. So BB, why don't you give us the intro here?
One of my buddies that I work with, Glenn Palmer, fan of the show, likes and shares us all the time. He came up to me one day and said, "Hey, I have a great idea for a show." I'm like, "All right, throw it at me." He said, "How about you're on a deserted island and you have your iPod and you only have 50 songs in your iPod. What will those songs be?" So I said, "Hey, that sounds great, but between the four of us," I said, "now we have 200 songs. We're probably into a 4-hour show." I said, "We're going to have to cut this down." I said, "How about we just do 10 apiece?" So he said, "That sounds great." He said he can't wait to hear what we pick. I'm kind of disappointed. I was hoping that I was able to sit in and check us out, but he had another obligation tonight. So, Mr. Palmer, thank you very much for this idea, and hopefully any of our fans out there have some more ideas for us too.
Yeah, it is a great idea, and Glenn, thank you. As BB said, and we're going to actually our iPod is going to be it's going to be 50 songs. Dylan is not going to participate in this one, but he's going to throw 2 songs in at the end. We're going to each one of us, myself, BC, BB, and Mark, we're going to pick 12 songs apiece, and then Dylan's going to throw in 2 songs at the end. He didn't know he was doing that until just now, just so everybody knows out there.
I appreciate being thrown in the deep end of the pool. Thank you.
Hey, it's only 2 songs. I think he can pull it out. One's probably going to be a Foo Fighter song or something.
Okay, you know what? Now it's not going to be. It was, but now it's not going to be.
Now it's not only going to be 1, now it's going to be 2.
All right. All right, we will start. You know what? We're going to be courteous hosts. We're going to start off with our esteemed guest, Mark, and what we'll do is we'll say the song, the band, you can say what album it's from, and if we'll see if anybody's familiar with it, we'll chat them up a little bit, and we'll move on. What do you got, Mark?
Okay. Well, when I got asked by you guys to do this, I kind of approached this because I didn't realize that this is supposed to be on a desert island sort of list. I kind of approached it as, because I do a lot of driving for stuff, right? And in my car, I usually bring my iPod. So I always thought of it, what would be my ultimate iPod list when I'm in my car driving? Okay. So this is my ultimate iPod list. And for me, the very first song that I put on here, you always want a good opener. And before I start this, let me just preface this by saying this too. I find that a lot of times when people do these kinds of lists, they always try to find like the most obscure song. They're like, oh, I'm going to find some Muddy Waters song from like 1952 or something.
Right.
And, and I don't believe that that's accurate. People don't listen like that. People listen to stuff they're familiar with and that they grew up with and that they love. That's what people really listen to. So those are what's kind of my basis of my songs. So my first song that I picked for my list is Judas Priest, Painkiller, the song Painkiller.
Nice.
Because to me, this record totally surprised the hell out of me the very first time I heard it, because after hearing Turbo and Ram It Down, I wasn't expecting much for the next record. And when this record came out, it just absolutely floored me. And to me, it is the ultimate list opener.
Scott Travis just kicked your ass in the opening.
Yeah, and that was in the first time I heard that song was on MTV when they premiered it on Headbangers Ball, and I remember that was MTV Headbangers Ball. That came on a Saturday night. You'd be out all week, but you'd be home at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night so you could watch Headbangers Ball. Not that we didn't party the rest of the week, but I remember seeing that and I'm like, holy shit! Listen to them drums, like. Awesome pick, Mark. What do you think, BB?
Yeah, like you hit the nail on the head when you hear that drum beat. And you're like, who the heck is this? Because I think that was one of the first songs I remember hearing from Priest, and it just great tune to be almost stranded in your car.
Great pick, and that's hey, that opens up our album. That opens up our iPod here. Great pick. BC, who you got?
Going to start off with Tesla, Don't De-Rock Me, off of, I believe, Psychotic Supper. I mean, there's a song just, to me, the guitars in it just, the solo in it just, how can you not just get pumped up listening to it?
That's great. What do you think, Mark?
I love Tesla. The first 2 records especially are like must-have albums that everybody should listen to. I grew up with those records, and I think I must have wore them out a couple dozen times each. But I like Psychotic Supper as well. Edison's Medicine is a great song, and there's a lot of other songs on there too. But they kind of branched out a little bit more on that record, I found. But it's still a great record.
Very, very cool song.
Yeah. Now that you say Tesla, thinking back to our last episode, a very underrated guitar player, Frank Hannon.
Yes.
He could have definitely been on anybody's underrated list.
All right, BB, since you're talking, go next.
Well,
buddy.
I might as well keep going because I also have a Tesla song on my iPod, but it's Miles Away from Into the Now from 2004. I believe we saw these guys at Montage for this tour, and they played that song. And ever since they played that song, it just kind of grabbed me a little bit. It's very long guitar riff in that song, and it's a lot heavier. It's probably one of the heavier Tesla songs on there, probably out of their whole catalog, I would say. But that's the way I'm going to open up my iPod.
All right, good pick, Mark. Tesla? Another one.
Yeah, like I said, I love the early stuff. I'll be honest, I'm not really familiar with some of their latter-day stuff, but I plan to change that and pick up where I've kind of left off with their catalog. So I'm anxious to hear that.
Oh yeah, I mean, Sticking with Tesla, I mean, I've been a fan of Tesla since day one. So I like everything. And like BB said, there's a little bit of a harder song for that album. Not that it was a bad album, but
No. But you know what? Like it's 2004, so,
Yeah, so-
you know it's tough for anybody to actually go out and listen to that new music.
Very good pick. I do enjoy that song. Good album. Awesome pick, BB. I'm going to go my first. I'm going to throw my first pick out there, and it's going to be a song that I actually, the song came out in, what song did it? This song came out in 2007, and it's a band I was not familiar with at all. And the first time I heard it was on the Kiss Cruise 6 in 2016. We were sitting up on the deck, and they had a DJ playing, and the music was just blasting. And this one song come on, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It started out with like a guitar and a banjo in the beginning, and then it just kicked in. It's called Sad Man's Tongue by Volbeat. And like that song just stuck in my head, and I had no idea who it was. And we were maybe half a deck away from the DJ, and we were, shooting the shit after that. And the song stuck with me through the whole cruise, and I tried the whole cruise to track the DJ down. And I finally did the second last day, and I found out what the name of that song was, and it's called Sad Man's Tongue by Volbeat. And it's just an amazing kick you in the face song. It's great. Anyone else here familiar with that song?
Yeah, I remember when you came home, you kind of turned me on. That's the only song I could probably name out of their catalog. But when you came home and you said that song, I had to at least go home and download it. So I, threw it in the catalog. But that's a really, really good tune.
Mark, how about you?
I can't say I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with Volbeat, obviously, but I'm not familiar with that song. But now I'm going to have to do the same thing as BC there and just download it and check it out.
Definitely a distinctive voice from the guy.
Yeah, I love that guy's voice.
We saw him open up for
Metallica.
So, I mean, I'm not very familiar with a lot of their songs. I'm familiar of them. But I did like that song when you.
Were you awake when they played that?
Slightly.
Okay.
It's before the DJ.
Okay. All right, and awesome. Let's go over to BC. Keep going. What do you got?
I don't have any real order, so I mean, don't take this to heart. I'm gonna continue with Skid Row, "Slave to the Grind." I mean, there's another. To me, that was a great. When that came out, you're like, whoa. They turned it up a notch from their debut album. It was like, whoa, this is where these guys should be at. I thought.
Definitely,
Yeah.
that's a great way, because I think that album is better than their first one. It seems like they had more of their own say, and they got a little bit heavier instead of trying to be all the radio playing songs.
I like that with the band.
That's a fellow Canadian singing there, Mark, right?
Sure is, Mr. Sebastian Bach from Peterborough. Let me correct myself. I love that album. The first time it came out, I thoroughly enjoyed it very much. It is definitely more their style of playing, mainly because I'm sure they weren't under the thumb of Mr. John Bon Jovi, who I'm not sure if you guys realize has a very big influence on their first album. So you can tell that when he's not around, this material kind of comes out in more of their personality.
All right, cool. I enjoy it. It's another, as we say on this show, another Harpo song that they do all the time, and you can't go wrong with some Skid Row. In BC, you are 100% correct. They did turn it up at least a notch on that one, or more.
Maybe two.
Next pick, BB.
All right, I'm going to go with Lynch Mob, "Tangled in the Web," from the Revolution 1992. Robert Mason's vocals on that song is top notch. Like probably a lot of these songs on my list I heard on Headbangers Ball. The saxophone in it, it's just a different tune. And that's the first time I heard Robert Mason's voice, and his pipes are he's a very underrated vocalist out there.
Great, Mark. Which version do you like better of? I'm sorry, Lynch Mob. Are you familiar with those guys? I'm sure you got it.
I loved the Wicked Sensation, obviously, with Oni there, but I liked Robert Mason, too. I think he did a good job, especially the follow-up to Wicked Sensation. I thought was really good, too. Very, very forgotten record, I think, in his catalog.
Yes.
And I think that he's a great singer too. I mean, obviously, people are gonna harken back to Oni because that was a big record when it came out. So
It was definitely. Go ahead, BC.
Like you said, Robert Mason's just phenomenal vocalist, I think. And like I said, the second Lynch Mob is what really, I mean, all Lynch Mob is good in my book, but the second one is really one of my favorites to this very day.
I really enjoy the second one. You said Robert Mason is great, and he's still going strong, singer for Warrant today, and he's awesome. And BC, what's your next pick?
I'm gonna go with Vince Neil's first solo, "Look in Her Eyes."
Oh,
Steve Stevens. How can you go wrong with Steve Stevens' guitar playing? And that song he just goes to town on it.
Yeah.
Are you familiar?
Yeah, that's for me. That's a forgotten album.
I wish he'd do more of that stuff live.
Oh God, that would be great.
it's a very good record too. I mean, I thought Steve Stevens was how to put this. Steve Stevens is sort of the guitar hero that Motley Crue didn't have. You know, like he's like more of the guitar hero type player, where Mick Mars was sort of the playing for the song kind of guitar player.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I remember when BC picked up that album, and we just rocked the shit out of that thing. We,
Case of beer
later. Listened to it about 3 times. Good pick. Mark, who do you got next?
So my second pick was, how do you follow up Painkiller, right, for the first one? Well, on my list, I put on a song that I think is very hard-hitting, and I'm talking about Kiss with Creatures of the Night, another album that was a very big surprise for me. I mean, sonically, the album totally kicks ass, and it's a great opening song and a good follow-up to Painkiller, I think.
Definitely. Vinnie Vincent, one of my favorite guys. That album, that's probably makeup-wise one of my favorite albums in the catalog. And like you said, Mark, what a way to open up the album.
Yeah.
Do we even know who played on that song? Like definitively? I think we talked about it in one of the other episodes. Do we really know who played on what on Creatures? What do you think?
On the
Mark?
song itself or the whole album, you mean?
Actually, the whole album, but like we'll just talk about your song. That wasn't Vinny on that song, right?
I keep hearing that Robin Ford did the guitar solo on that, but I mean, who knows if that's true? I mean, there were so many people listed to be playing and rumored to be on here that who knows who it could be. Maybe that's going to be one of those things that we get, told when Kiss is finally, retired and everyone's on the beach somewhere. They'll finally let all these secrets out of the bag.
Hopefully. Maybe Julian will do a book on lost Kiss secrets or something,
I have to agree with Mark on this one. Like Judas Priest, when they came out with that Painkiller, I was like, whoa. And then I remember first putting this album back then on, and I was like, yes. I mean,
especially after the Elder debacle.
After the Elder and all that, I was like, and I was a little nervous. He put this on, I was like, and Creatures kicks on, I was like, yes. It was a big relief in mine.
Awesome pick, Mark. I'm going to go next for my next pick, and I believe this song was maybe one of my hidden gems on one of the other shows. It's a song called Love Sick from Rat. It's on the self-titled Rat album that came out in, I don't know, probably late 90s, I'm going to say. 97 or something like that. Okay. And it's a song that's kind of like the 7th or 8th song on the album, but it is just great. And it's the album that Warren DeMartini was the sole guitar player on, I believe. And he just friggin' just tore it up. And we actually got to see him do that live. And I believe at Tinks, right? And just a great song, you guys. Check that out. BB, are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I'm trying to throw back the old memory here, but that's like you said, it's deep in the album. So that it almost seems like it's almost like forgotten or hidden back in there. You think it'd be a little bit up front.
I agree. That got lost. I don't know if it's the time it came out or the late 90s. It really was a big hard rock time, but bands like that continued to put out good stuff in my book, and that was.
Yeah, I wish they would.
I like the lineup too.
I wish they would bust it out again.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly find that those records in that period, like especially even with bands like Slaughter and Warrant, who released albums like Ultraphobic and all these other records, they were totally looked over I always called that the CMC years when everybody seemed to be on that record label. That was,
I remember that.
you know, and I just found that while some of them tried to cater to what was going on, others didn't. But for some reason, if you had a name that was popular in the late 80s, you were totally shunned at that point, and you could have wrote the greatest album ever, and I think it still wouldn't have did anything, which is unfortunate.
Very, very good point. All right, BB, go ahead, buddy.
All right, my next one is going to be Firehouse from their self-titled album back in 1991. I'm throwing in Lover's Lane. Yeah. My favorite Firehouse song and album as well. A lot of great songs on that album. Love of the Lifetime. That's the one song that sold the album. But they still play so many songs live. Like All She Wrote, they play Shake and Tumble. Don't Treat Me Bad, they play. Every once, I think I've only seen them play Lover's Lane, I think once. While we've seen them probably four times.
I think I've seen them do it twice.
I think I've only seen them do it once. But that's another song that's kind of hidden in an opening debut album with some, high-tested, great radio songs that made a lot of airplay.
I agree, BB. I mean, that one came out. It was very radio-ish. Of course, they pushed the radio hits. That's the way it was. Yeah. But there was a band that was like, they played. I don't know. Did we go? Or I went to see them. It was Harvey's Lake.
Oh, you did. I was not.
And they came out and they just tore it up live. They're way heavier live than any of their albums are. And I was a fan since then. Like you said, Lover's Lane, the drums and that. Just great.
I remember getting that CD. That for some reason that everybody's playing the radio. That song, it just stuck to me every time. Boop, boop, back,
cool.
back.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for songs like that to get any attention when you have songs like, Love of a Lifetime and Don't Treat Me Bad. Those were like, especially here in Canada as well, they were gigantic songs, and everybody in every bar that was around here, whenever you went to some bar on Friday night, they would be playing those songs on there. So those kind of songs got lost in there. But, Firehouse is a good band. They have talented people in there, and I mean, I'm not the most familiar with their other, albums and stuff like that, but, I can't knock them. So. Okay,
cool, good pick. I'm going to say that too. Also, I like BB said, great, very underrated song. You guys check that out definitely. And while I'm talking here, I'll throw my next pick out there because I kind of went ahead and picked BC and I got the order all screwed up here. So I'm going to go next and then we'll do Mark and then we'll be even across the board. My next song is going to be a song called Shapes of Things. The version is by Gary Moore. It's an older song, and I couldn't even tell you who did the original. Mark, you probably could. Not trying to put you on the spot there. Shapes of Things by Gary Moore on the We Want More live album. I think it was recorded in Chicago or something like that. And he just tears this unbelievable long jam solo in this song, and it is just phenomenal. It's one of my go-to live songs that if I'm just looking for something to do and looking for something different that I haven't listened to in a while, I will always throw that on. And Dylan, my awesome guy over here, tells me that it is originally a Yardbirds song. Mark, any love for that song?
I remember hearing the Yardbird version of it, but I can't recall Gary doing it. I mean, I have 696 vinyl albums in my collection, which is not a lot compared to some people. But I don't have a Gary Moore record, believe it or not.
Really? You'll have to remedy that.
Yeah, I definitely do.
I'm like Mark. I have no anything of Gary Moore.
BC? I know you're familiar with the song at least.
I'm familiar with some Gary Moore, and thanks to Steve, I'm familiar with Gary Moore. But I mean, before that, not really.
All right. So that's a song for you guys to check out. And
Mark,
Mark, as
homework tonight.
Yeah, Mark as a guitar guy. I mean, he's someone. I mean, you would. His blues stuff is amazing, and even his '80s is like hard rock stuff. And then he did the blues stuff in the '90s, and then unfortunately another guy that passed away way too soon. All right, Mark, you're going to even things up here. What do you got next?
Okay, so My next one might be a little bit of an odd selection, you might think, but maybe not. I picked for number 3, I picked Yes, and I picked Owner of a Lonely Heart. Now, this song is a very catchy song, I find, and a very surprisingly commercial route for Yes, considering the records that they had put out before this time. I mean, you had albums like Fragile, Close to the Edge, Tales from Topographic Oceans, Relayer, and this is all stuff that was not like the furthest thing from commercial music you could possibly imagine. But when this song came out, I remember I was like, what the heck is this? And when I found out it was Yes, I was like, wow, like a 4-minute commercial song by Yes that had Trevor Rabin playing some pretty awesome killer guitar on it.
Yeah, that's a great pick, Mark. Yes, another underrated band. It seems like they only had a couple songs that made the radio, but their albums were tight. They made really good underrated music that was definitely unfounded by a lot of people, I think.
Well, I mean, in my vinyl collection, I must have at least like 85 Yes albums. And you're probably wondering, do they have that many records? No, they don't. They only have about 20 some odd, but I have like, a Japanese pressing, a Brazilian pressing, Australian pressing, Canadian, US, like of one record, because I love these guys, and there's just so many things that are interesting about different pressings of these albums, and I just love their music. I mean, they're a huge influence on my music.
I'm not really too familiar with Yes, but I can remember that song back in the day because you used to listen to back then the radio a lot because you want to hear they're going to release a new song on the radio, and that was always there. And the guitar riff, to me, I like the guitar riff on that song.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that I know Mark is a huge Yes fan, and before I get into the discussion, Mark, give a quick plug for your Yes podcast.
Once a week, I'm involved in a podcast called the Yes Music Podcast. It's a pretty popular site and a pretty popular podcast as well. I joined it maybe about 200 episodes in. Like, we celebrated our 300th a little while ago. But he's been running this site for a while, and I've come in now as co-host with him as well. And Yes have a legion of die-hard fans that have stuck with them now right up to the 50th anniversary, which is starting this coming January. So it's a really interesting podcast. If you want to check it out, just go to www.yesmusicpodcast.com, and there's a ton load of episodes to listen to.
Awesome. And I'm just going to Dylan's going to interject real quick here too. But I'm going to say that I knew Mark was going to pick a Yes song, but I'm going to say I'm very surprised that it was this Yes song, and I love it too. It is very commercial for those guys, but it's a great song. I love it. Dylan.
Weirdly enough, Yes follows me on Twitter. I don't know how that happened, but like their verified account is following me for some reason.
Well, there you go. We're going to have to reach out to them, see if we can get them on the podcast. They knew that I
was an owner of a lonely heart.
Oh, maybe.
No, it's...
Your girlfriend will be glad to hear that.
Yeah. But I remember the one time we were walking down Broadway at the beach in Myrtle Beach, and we heard Owner of a Lonely Heart being played.
Oh, yeah, this last year.
And we were like, wow, that's really cool that they're playing Yes over the loudspeakers, but it was actually a band.
It was a cover band, yeah. That you couldn't tell the difference. And it was a girl singing, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good.
It was. I forgot about that. That was very cool.
Yeah.
All right, awesome pick, Mark. BC, next pick. What do you got?
Like I said, this is hard to narrow down to 12, so I went over with the Armored Saint, After Me, The Flood.
Ooh.
Cool.
I mean, John Bush, to me, is just a phenomenal vocalist, performer, and Armored Saint is, to me, top notch.
Cool, Mark. Any Armored Saint stuff going on for you?
I love Armored Saint. I love John Bush. He's a great singer. Chemical Euphoria is one of my favorite songs that they've ever done, and I have to say that I saw them here in Toronto not recently, but I think just when John came back with them and started releasing music with them again, and it was a pretty sad turnout. I felt really bad for them because it was probably like 60 people there to see them. Like, it was pretty meek for a show here in Toronto, and but I mean, at that time it was just kind of maybe this kind of music was starting to come back onto the scene again, and it was a rebuilding period for the band as well. So, but I mean, I love Armored Saint, no matter how many people go and see them.
Great.
Yeah, what a great band, bucket list band, and it's horrible that Mark said there was only 60 people here, but in my head, and BC just said it, that would be for a real true fan, that would be awesome. It sucks the band's not getting money or what they deserve, but that would definitely a bucket list band, and I'd love to see them with about 60 people in a little club.
Right,
you get up really close.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're huge Auburn Saint fans on this show, and we love John Bush. I'm for anyone that picks any Auburn Saint stuff. Mark, real quick, in Anthrax, John Bush or Joey Belladonna?
Oh, for me, there's no question. It's John Bush.
All right.
The Sound of White Noise is like the greatest Anthrax record ever released.
All right. We knew we liked you for a reason. Awesome. BB, what's your next pick?
We already Mark touched on this song a little bit before. I picked Miracle Man from Ozzy, No Risk for the Wicked, 1988.
Yes.
I remember this video. I recorded. I think I already said this before. I recorded it. I think it was it was USA Network Video Hits something or other. It was on like midnight or 2 o'clock. It was on late. Nobody wanted to watch it. And when I threw this on, I'm like, wow, who is that guy? Because that was his first album. And this kid with the long hair and the guitar and the big bell bottoms, you couldn't even see his face because his long hair and the way he swung it around. Like, this guy is awesome. And ever since then, I've been hooked.
And then BB went out and bought some bell bottoms.
And tried to grow my hair long.
Still has them today.
All right, real quick on the song since we've already talked about Zach Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I love this song. I mean, I'm a huge Jakey Lee fan, so when I heard that he was gone and somebody else was coming in, I was kind of like, But then as soon as I heard that this song, I was like, he won me over just with this song.
DC.
Zach Wild. What can you say? And that album to me was, it caught me. It just had that distinctive, turned into Zach Wild song.
Yep. I'm just going to say, like I said on the Ozzy Guitar Player show, for as much as people hate Sharon Osbourne, she always surrounds him with great talent. Good pick. Mark, what do you got next?
Okay, so for my next pick, I think that you guys might be surprised with this one. After a song like Owner of a Lonely Heart, I was thinking, I wanted something a little bit more rambunctious and, party, pull out the beer kind of song. And what song better represents that than David Lee Roth, Yankee Rose? I mean, what an amazing song. And I remember the very first time I heard Yankee Rose by David Lee Roth, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like Steve Vai with this crazy guitar playing and Billy Sheehan tapping on his bass. And, these guys, the video for that too with this, it was just over the top. And when I bought that whole Eat 'Em and Smile record, beginning to end, it's like a guitar and bass player's wet dream. Like these guys playing unbelievable. It's just such a great record. And Yankee Rose is the greatest combination of technique and commercial melodic singing.
Again, like you said, David Lee Roth to me was like when he left Van Halen, it's like, oh my God, because he is Van Halen. Sorry, guys. But
no apologies needed here.
I was anticipating, and when that first came out, of course, he ran and got it, and he threw it on. It was like you said, it was just like wow, like the bass. It was different.
Yeah, I remember when he released that. What really caught me was the album cover, just like the bright colors and Dave there. You're like, wow, you had to buy it. Like that, the way they put that package together. It just, I don't know what it was. The album cover just drew me, and there's not a bad song on there.
No, I love it, and I've said it before on the show. That was the very first compact disc that I bought, and it's one still you could throw in any time. You hear Yankee Rose, and it's like, you get the I won't do it because it'll sound so stupid. You get the David, what do you let me roll up onto the sidewalk and take a. You just that song just like it speaks summer to me. It just like you want to be out in the sun drinking beer when you hear that song. Awesome pick. Looks like I'm next. My next pick is going to be the Dream song that I finally got to see performed live this year.
Oh, from Van Halen.
No.
Sorry, Jen. I tried.
No, nice try. Got Love for Sale by Kiss from Love Gun. That song from day one, I mean, you can't beat Love Gun. Starts off with I Stole Your Love, but like once I love it when Got Love for Sale kicks in, and for some reason I always thought that song would have felt better or had a better presence on Rock and Roll Over than Love Gun. I think that's a song that sounds different on Love Gun than the rest of the songs. I think it would have fit better on Rock and Roll Over, but not that I'm complaining. But I just love that song. Got to see Gene Simmons perform it live this last summer down in Philadelphia.
Oh, I love it. I mean, just as well as anybody else that I'm a huge Kiss person. I'm on the Kiss FAQ podcast regularly, and that's a very strong record for me, Love Gun. Of course, my favorite record is Rock and Roll Over. It's the greatest Kiss record ever created. But it's a great song, and for Gene to finally pull out these lost songs and to perform them is I think his way of thanking the fans for sticking around this long.
Now, if Kiss would just do that.
Yeah,
they try on the cruises.
Not as much as they could, though. But we're going to talk about that in our we're going to do a Kiss Cruise wrap-up show in another week or so that'll be coming out soon. BB.
Yeah, that's a great song. Even today when you guys saw him down in Philly, I remember watching the video on YouTube, and still he sounds...
You could have kid.
Yeah. He still sounds as good as he did, back then. And, he's probably, picking these songs because, he can still sing them. So
I agree with the great song and Gene Simmons, the band he has now, and the shows he's been doing, and the song set list. I think is just kicking it.
Yeah. Awesome. BC, since you're talking, give us your next pick.
I'm gonna go with a little Megadeth, Holy Wars, Punishment Due.
Yo.
Because they're one of my favorite bands, and that was the first album that really drew me into them, got me hooked on them, I would say.
Cool. Mark.
I was familiar with Megadeth, obviously, who wasn't? But, Peace Sells I thought was a decent record, but this was the record that did it for me. I mean, the first time I heard the opening lines to, Holy Wars, I thought it was just unbelievable. And Marty Friedman was the greatest thing that Dave Mustaine could have did for the band, is getting him into the band. But the moment that he left Megadeth, I shed a tear and didn't buy a Megadeth record since.
Wow.
Yeah, what a great group that Dave put together. Even Dave's vocals, he's that's all one note, and it's Dave Mustaine. He has that distinct voice. Megadeth, they have a great catalog and not a lot of skippable songs in my opinion.
Good pick, BC. Very enjoyable song. That's usually the song that they either begin the show with or kind of end the show with. Awesome pick. And I'm going to throw my next pick out there since I'm talking right now. And I'm just going to say, when we were talking about how we were going to do this episode, I put a caveat on the episode to say that everyone's probably going to pick rock and stuff, but I threw in there, you must pick a ballad. So I'm going to be the first one to throw my hat in the ring for a ballad. It's a song that I always liked. It was, I don't know, it always just kind of caught me. And you guys know that I'm not a ballad guy, so it's got to be something that I really like. Shut up, BC.
Closet ballad guy.
He's a closet ballad.
I'm going to pick Hysteria by Def Leppard.
Wow.
For some reason, I've always liked the melody of that song, and the guitar playing is just phenomenal in it. And Hysteria from Def Leppard, that's my pick, and that's my ballad pick.
Yo.
BC.
Hysteria, to me, that was a hard album to swallow when it first came out. It was just a total departure from the rock and Def Leppard. I thought it grew on me throughout the years, but when that first came out, I was very anti Hysteria.
Yeah, that was really radio heavy, promoted.
Very a totally different sound.
Right. I think they pushed mainstream radio really hard with that album, but Hysteria is still a rockin' tune.
All right, Mark.
Hysteria, I think, is probably one of the better ballads of that time period. Especially, I always thought that if I had to be forced to listen to a ballad, the band that I think that does them the best to me probably is Def Leppard. I mean, they know how hook in a person, even with a ballad. And as long as they had Robert John Mutt Lange producing it, you knew it was going to be catchy. There was going to be a lot of melodic elements in it, and even the guitar solos had a sense of coolness to it, even if it was a ballad.
Right. Cool. That's one of the reasons I picked it. All right, we'll move on. BC, since you wanted to talk so much, we're not picking you. We're going to pick DB.
All right. My next song, my two alternates, I kind of pick live songs. So this is going to be one of my first alternates. And growing up with Kiss, of course I had to throw a Kiss song in there. I picked it from a Live 2, I Stole Your Love. It was one of the second Kiss albums I had. It was an 8-track. And I don't exactly remember when, maybe around 1979, 1980, I think I got it for Christmas. And that song and that whole album, it was totally different for me because I wasn't used to listening to live music back when I was 8 years old. I didn't even know they made live music on albums back in 1980. So that one of my favorite Alive 2 songs on the album.
Awesome. Mark, Alive 2, I Stole Your Love.
Well, if you listen to the Yes Music podcast, I really don't like Alive 2. I think Eddie Kramer needed to be slapped on the hands a little bit because the audience is just so loud and annoying and so screechy. I just can't stand listening to that record. But I Stole Your Love, hands down, is probably that song and God of Thunder are the two best songs on that album, hands down.
Awesome. BC.
I'm a fan of the song I Stole Your Love. To this very day, I'd love to see it done.
I'm going to say on I Stole Your Love, I always just picture, when I hear I Stole Your Love live, I always picture the awesome Kiss movie, Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, when they open up that and it's the first concert thing you see of Kiss doing I Stole Your Love, and that's what I think of that, and actually hearing that live puts me back there when I was a kid watching that. When you were a kid, you were thinking that movie was the coolest thing that ever fucking was ever on TV. I mean, it's a little different now when you watch it, but that song, hearing that live, puts me right back there. So really, really good pick, BC. Mark, what do you got for your next pick?
Okay, so now I think we're going to get into a little bit of odd territory.
Uh-oh.
But for me, after Yankee Rose, I wanted to indulge in my little bit of my British UK commercial music a bit. So my next song is from David Bowie, and I really, really, really love the album Hunky Dory, and my favorite song off of that album is a song called Queen Bitch. Now, to me, that's a really incredible song and surprisingly heavy for David Bowie if you were to listen to it. And for me, I'll go as far as this. This might be a head scratcher when you hear this, but I love this song so much, I've already tagged it as a possible B-side cover for my next Project Gemini album.
Yo.
You will have my gratitude if that is the case, because that is a great song.
All right, yeah, we're all shaking our heads here. We don't know that song, so we'll just let Dylan comment on this one.
I mean, especially for an early Bowie song, because Hunky Dory was his second, third album, right?
It was his fourth, because
Fourth
if you
album,
include that really bad DRAM record
yeah.
he put out first, and then he did Space Oddity, and then he did Man Who Sold the World, and then he did this one.
Yeah, I think it's a great song. That's a great pick. I kudos to you, sir. You never disappoint me on that.
All right, and I would be very interested to hear that. Actually, hear it in the first place, but then hear you do it, reproduce would be friggin' awesome. I will say in advance, cool pick. I will definitely check the song out. Actually, I'll check that song out tonight. And while I'm gabbing away here, I will take my next pick. And I did screw up the rotation again with BC. I don't know, BC. I keep picking you more often than everybody.
You want my iPod? That's what it is.
I do. Your iPod I'm going to steal it next time we're working. My next pick is going to be another live track. I tend to like live music, as you guys know. A song called "Rockin'" by Pat Travers. It's on the Pat Travers King Biscuit Flower Hour album. I remember hearing this song when it was actually on the King Biscuit Flower Hour, and I had no idea who the hell Pat Travers was, because I remember our local radio station, Rock 107, used to have it on every Sunday night, and I would have my tape recorder handy, ready to tape whatever was on, and they said, Pat Travers was coming up, and I think maybe Dire Straits was on that same night. So I'm like, I'll check these guys out. So thank God I recorded it, because like they played that song "Rockin'," and it was, rockin'. It was great. longer type solo in it, which if you're like, if you know me at all, I tend to like that live stuff with like a lot of soloing in it. Just not inane jams, but just like really good different type solos in it, and it's a great song. So you guys check it out. It's on this King, and actually they did release it on CD, so it is available out there. Anyone, BC?
I'm not too familiar with Pat Travers. I mean, I've heard some of his stuff.
Okay.
Right, and the same way, heard some stuff, but not that song.
And I'm going to have to third that as well. I mean, I know Pat Travers, but I don't know really much of his catalog at all, so I'll definitely have to check that out as well.
Okay, you guys, I can guarantee you will not be sorry. If you like any kind of guitar rock at all, you will definitely be enjoying that. So, okay, BB, you're next.
All right, I'm gonna just keep going with my my other alternate, another live song from Dokken. Their 2000, their album that came out in 2000, Live from the Sun. They open up the album with "Erase the Slate." Great way they open up that album. Reb Beach on the guitar, and that is unbelievable. Another underrated guy ripping it up. And this live album, it really gives I think a little dig to Dokken. George Lynch. Reb Beach really played his heart out on this album, I thought, and I'm surprised Don and Lynch kind of got themselves back in the graces, because I think if Don kind of kept Reb Beach going, I think he could have really done some things, done some music. BC.
I agree. Reb Beach is just a phenomenal guitar player, and I remember George was out and he was like, geez, because I like Dokken right from the beginning, so and that's a killer song. Because Reb Beach just tears it up.
Great, Mark.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Reb Beach as well. I think that he's very overlooked, mainly because he's associated with Winger, and because of what Beavis and Butthead did to Winger's name. They'll never recover from that, obviously. But he's a great player. I think that he suits more being in Whitesnake than he ever did with Dokken. But I have to admit, though, I mean, he can play in any kind of guitar-driven band and suit it, because he's such a great player.
Great pick, BB. And as you know, I talked about in the last episode, Reb Beach on that album is unbelievable. Good pick. Mark, what do you got next?
Okay, so now we're going to get to something that you probably will not be surprised with. Living in Canada, there could be only one band that every Canadian holds dear to their heart, and if you don't own a record from this band, then you'll be deported from this country forthwith, and that is Rush. And I picked Anthem, which is the first song off of their second record called Fly By Night. The reason why I picked this one is because it is my favorite Rush record, believe it or not, their second record, the first with Neil Peart in it. And it's because it's a very hungry band at this time. Neil Peart is absolutely on fire. I think his drums probably exploded when this record was done being recorded, because he was just on fire on this record. And it is probably one of the best album openers ever. And I figured that after putting Bowie on in the middle and kind of, toning things down a bit, what better way to get the list back on its feet again and rolling with a song like Anthem.
I gotta agree with Mark on that one. Who does not like Rush? And even in the United States, you have to have a Rush.
You should be deported from North America if you don't have a Rush album.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, a great album. Did you say that's on their second album?
Fly By Night.
Yeah,
okay.
Fly By Night.
Yeah, that's another sophomore great album. A lot of good songs on that album, but that's definitely a good pick.
Yeah, awesome pick, Mark. And actually, that's a song that a lot of people cover too. It's as I know, Anthrax definitely did a cover of that, and which is good. But I mean, you can't beat the real deal on that one. Very, very excellent pick. BC, what do you got?
I'm gonna go. Let's go with some Black Sabbath. The Time Machine with Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow.
Now, which version now? The Dehumanizer version or the one from the Terminator movie? There are two different versions, right?
Wayne's World.
Wayne's
Or
World.
Wayne's World, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Terminator because that's the guy. Have you seen this boy?
Ever seen this boy?
Sorry.
No, I'm gonna go with the Dehumanizer.
Yeah.
Version.
Yeah, I have to agree. That's a great song. I mean, the Humanizer. When that record came out, I found that it kind of came out of nowhere. I was just at the record store one day, and I was like, "Oh, there's a Black Sabbath album out." I got it, brought it home, and I remember the very first thing that I noticed when I listened to this album was that the drums sounded really odd. I'm like, "What's going on with the drum set sound on this?" And it's because Mac, the guy who produced it, who did Queen and a bunch of other bands, he did a lot of distant miking for this album, and instead of close miking, he did a lot of miking from further back, and his drums sound really like they're in a gigantic room almost when he's playing. And you get used to it though, and I really love this record. And Time Machine is a great song. I think it's one of the best songs off of that album.
Yeah, that is a good pick off that album. Dio with Black Sabbath, it's funny to say it's the best song off the album, but, to me, in my opinion, Dio and Black Sabbath, they didn't make a bad song at all. But,
No.
I really love that album, Dehumanizer, and the song is fantastic. And I was actually surprised that when Sabbath put out the Cross Purposes Live album with Tony Martin, actually Time Machine was one of the songs that they played on that, which was very surprising. And but awesome pick. And that takes us halfway through our list here. So right now we are going to rock right into our hidden gems, and we're going to start out with BB.
all right, and my hidden gem this week is from a band. It's going to be just one song from Y&T called Contagious. When I was going over this list, kind of trying to remember all the songs that I saw back on Headbangers Ball and that, I remember this video. It was a real catchy song. First time I actually ever knew of Y&T. I think after that, I remember going back and hearing Summertime Girls, but Contagious really grabbed me, and I think they even played that when we saw them in New York City.
They did. Dave Menichetti, Y&T, can't go wrong with those guys. Mark.
I'm not really big on Y&T, but I'm obviously they're a decent band. I'm just not very familiar with their material.
All right, cool. BC.
Y&T, phenomenal. That's it.
All right. I'm gonna just get it. BC can't say any better than that. BC, go ahead next.
Let's see, where do I want to go now?
With your hidden gem, that's where you want to go now.
I want to go with since we went to see him this week, Night Ranger. My hidden gem is going to be after 1997 album. I drew a blank on it. I'm sorry. The song will be Slap Like Being Born. You ever hear it?
I don't know now.
Look it up.
I'm going to have to.
BB's gonna have to check it out.
Look, I mean, to me, that's a great album. I don't know. It's kind of, it's not really total. There's songs on there that rock, and there's songs on there. It's
Right.
again that time
Typical
frame,
solid Night Ranger.
That time frame,
forgotten time frame for rock.
late
music.
'90s, like Rat, and
Yep.
they put out good albums and everything.
Mark.
Well, I mean, this is the whole idea of the hidden gem, right?
Yep.
Songs that we probably won't know, and I'll be honest, I have no clue of this song. I mean, I know mainly of the early Night Ranger stuff. Anything past a certain period, I'm just have no idea of. So obviously, I'll have to check it out and check out this hidden gem.
All right, cool. Mark, since you're talking, go ahead next, buddy.
Well, I had this hidden gem in the last time, well, from this band, not this song, but when I was last time on, I spoke about Max Webster, and I'm going to keep ramming Max Webster down your audience's throat until
All right.
they start buying it, because Max Webster is one of the lost great bands of our time. And the song I want to suggest is called In the World of Giants, which is the opening track from the Universal Juveniles album, which is the last album Max Webster released. And to me, it is a classic. I mean, you have, Battle Scar on there, the duet they did with Rush. So if you want a truly brilliant record by Universal Juveniles, and listen to the hidden gem, the opening track called In the World of Giants.
All right, definitely. I will say that I did check out Max Norman after we talked about him on your episode. Excellent. And very cool pick. We will definitely check that out, and I will post that. I'll look for that video. I will definitely post that. I will go next with my pick, and my pick for this week is going to be a song by Savatage. It's from the Wake of Magellan album, and the song is called Paragons of Innocence. I'm sorry. Great song. Starts out with a real cool little piano riff, and you guys just check that out. And we thank everybody for their hidden gems. We have a good variety there this time. We'll post them all this week. Thanks for your pick, Mark, BB, BC, myself, and we'll get right back into our list here. And we're going to start off with Mark.
Okay, so after Rush, which was my number 6 pick, my number 7. I figured out in every iPod list I've ever done, I had to put a song in that was kind of a chill out song. To kind of just, not go into sensory overload with too much crazy cracking metal. You want to have something to kind of ease out a bit. So the song that I put here is from Genesis, and it's one of their early albums from Foxtrot, the opening song, Watchers of the Sky. Now, this is a really epic song. It's like 8-9 minutes long. It has a totally progressive sort of sci-fi feel to it, and I feel that this is the kind of song that my list needs at this point to kind of put the brakes on a bit and just relax and enjoy the music a little bit and not be so hammered over the head with blistering drums and stuff like that.
Cool. We're all kind of shaking our heads here on that one, so we will definitely we will check that one out.
We'll look it up.
And
look it up and check it out.
BC, go ahead, buddy. Very cool, Mark.
Yeah,
I'm going to stick with my roots and going back to the day of Lizzie Borden with Notorious off Minister Society CD. I mean, to me, that was a very distinctive sound of Lizzie Borden.
Again, Lizzie Borden is something that I'm familiar with, but I can't say that I'm familiar with the music. I mean, I know of the act and the band and stuff like that, but not really something that I listened to when I was growing up.
Yeah, Lizzie Borden, I know some. I'm not sure if I heard this. I have stuff in my catalog. I'm not 100% sure if I know the song, but I know Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Borden kicks ass.
Bucket list, definitely bucket list for us guys here on the Part of the Hell podcast. So Lizzie, when you're listening to the show here, send us tickets, give us an interview, and we'll have you on the show. And awesome pick. I knew BC was going to, it was kind of like with Mark with Yes. I knew BC was going to have a Lizzie Borden pick, but I wasn't exactly sure which one he was going to have. So BB, what do you got next?
My next one is going to be from 1990 on Slaughter's self-titled album, Burning Bridges. I believe it's number 2 on the album. Just once again, I buy the album and I listen to the radio songs, and for some reason, Burning Bridges just stuck in my head. And to this day, it was in a shuffle at the house today. I'm like, wow, Burning Bridges, and I played it 4 or 5 times, and I'm like, you know what? That's going on my list. It's just a cranking tune.
Mark, what's that song about?
It's about Vinnie Vincent.
Yes, it is. Keep going, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I love this album. I mean, I was very surprised when it came out. I got into this album pretty hard, and to the point of where I started buying, anything that they had out, like the video documentaries about the making of this record and the making of the Wildlife. And I was into Slaughter for quite a while. I thought that they were a really great band, and I saw them at least 5 times over here in Toronto. So,
yeah, great album. I mean, I'm going to kill the drummer's name, Blas
Elias.
Elias, thank you. Phenomenal drummer in my book, and very underrated drummer.
Yeah, great pick. And that song is, as Mark said, it's about Vinnie Vincent. If you listen to the song, listen to the lyrics, and it talks about the record companies and stuff like that, and it's a big kind of a middle finger to Vinnie Vincent. Yep. And I think in the first time I heard of and saw Slaughter, I heard of Slaughter before with Up All Night, but they played on the Kiss Hot in the Shade tour. They opened up. I saw them twice for that, and I think that was it was a great break for Slaughter to get out there on tour with Kiss, and I think it was also a nice middle finger to Vinnie Vincent too, saying, hey, we're taking your band out on tour because you're not with us anymore and you're not with them, so we're taking these guys out. Awesome pick, BB. And I'm going to go next, and this is going to be kind of a little different kind of thing here. This is a song originally done by Booker T and the MGs. It's an instrumental song. It's called Green Onions. For you guys that don't know this song, soon as you hear this song, you will know exactly what it is. It's one of them songs that you hear it everywhere, but you don't know what the name of the song is. But the version that I'm going to put on my iPod is from Tom Petty, from his live anthology, I think it is. And they do this song spot on, and it sounds great. Throw your headphones on and listen to this. BB is shaking his head. He's like, what the fuck am I talking about? But you guys, seriously.
I thought you were going to talk about green jelly when that's little pigs let me in.
No, but it's great, and their version is excellent of it. Have you ever heard that version, Mark? Well, I'm sure you're familiar with the song. You have to be.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that if I heard it, I don't really know it by title, but I guarantee you if I heard it, I'll probably go, oh yeah, okay, that song.
You absolutely will.
But I'm not familiar with the Tom Petty version. I bet you I'm probably more familiar with the Booker T version.
Okay, very cool. I implore everybody to check it out. BC, you're shaking your head over there too.
I'm a fan of Tom Petty, and I've listened to every Tom Petty I can. I might know it, but like you said, I don't know.
Seriously, when you hear that, you will go, okay, I've heard that before, probably a couple hundred times. It's also on the American Graffiti soundtrack. All right, next pick, BB.
All right, this is where I'm going to get a lot of flack from these two guys here. My next pick is going to be from Van Halen, and Steve already knows what it's going to be. From 1988, the OU812 album, the way they open it up with Sammy singing Mine All Mine.
Mine, all mine.
It's just, I don't know what it is. I've loved that song since it came out, day one. I don't know if it's the attitude of the song. It just really gripped me. And to this day, they're both of them are shaking their head, and I think I'm going to get my ass kicked after the show for this, but I was going to save that for the very last pick, but I'm going to throw it in there now.
I'm telling you, let them shake their head. That is a great song. It's a great album. And I mean, I think the attitude that they had at that point was well-deserved because, you know, whether Steve and BC like it or not, the fact of the matter is that 5150 was Van Halen's very first #1 album, so they had every reason to be cocky at that point.
True, that's a good point. At least I have a little bit of backing up today. Usually I'm on my own.
Well, I got your back, buddy.
Thanks. Thank you, Mark. Righty, what do you think about Mine All Mine?
Mine All Mine, it's not bad, but I gotta say that is one of the songs on our Van Halen debate that we dropped the ball on because it's a song about religion, if you listen to it. And that's all I'm gonna say. But it is a good song, BC. Right?
Again, I like both Van Halens, but I'm a Dave guy. But I mean, it's a
not
good
terrible.
song. It's not terrible. Don't get me wrong, but I kind of distanced I listened to it, but I distanced myself from Van Halen back in that day.
It's that age difference.
And I'm just gonna say, if I had to pick a song off of OU812, it would have been Black and Blue. All right, Mark, what do you got next?
Now, it's very ironic of what he just picked now, because my next pick, which is actually my ballad pick, is going to be a Van Halen song now for number 8. And it's not what you're probably going to expect it to be. To me, this is probably Van Halen's best ballad, and it was done by David Lee Roth, and it's on the first album. It's called Little Dreamer. Ooh. I really love that song. I think that's an example of being able to pull it back a bit, you know, play a ballad type of song, but not lose the kind of balls and the kind of energy that Van Halen 1 had from top to bottom.
Good pick, and I'm just going to say to BB, ha ha, because he thought you were going to pick Dreams. But great pick. BC, what do you got to say about it?
Great pick, and David Lee Roth.
All right.
I'm a fan. Like I keep telling these guys, I think it's my age. The first time I ever heard Van Halen was 84, and they were gone. They were done. So it's more of an Eddie Van Halen thing for me. But Little Dreamers, Kick Ass, they're all good. Every Van Halen song's fucking awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
All right.
Oh, I agree.
Good pick. I will go next, and mine is going to be, which I'm surprised myself that it took me so long to have a song from this band on there, and it's called When the Wild Wind Blows by Iron Maiden. It is the second last song on the Final Frontiers album, which is a fantastic album. It's I think they're probably most proggy type album. But this song is just a great song. It's one of their epic songs. They did it on the Final Frontiers tour, and I wish it was a song that they would, bust out every now and then. Excellent song.
Yeah, another underrated Iron Maiden song. Bruce's vocals are amazing.
Yeah, I have to agree. I really love that song, and I think it's out of all the Iron Maiden albums, I think that's one that's kind of passed over, much like the Dance of Death is kind of like, people don't really mention that one too often. Everybody always talks about, Power Slave and albums like that. But, I think that these are good records. And I tip my hat to Steve Harris, because Iron Maiden is at a point in their career where they could easily just say, you know what, screw it with new studio records. We can just tour on our back catalog all we want and people will still come. But they want to be relevant, and they are a relevant band because they keep making new music.
Kiss.
I agree. I mean, to me, they're my number one band. So everything they do in my book is great.
All right. BC, since you're talking, keep it rolling with your next pick.
Okay, since we're doing that, I'm going to stick with what's on my arms. We're going to go with the Iron Maiden, Passchendaele. I mean, again, later albums that either you love them or you hate them.
Speaking of Dance of Death album.
Talk about the Dance of Death, thank you. And Bruce Dickinson, Iron Maiden, I mean...
Yeah, it's a good record, but I mean, I think at that point, I don't know how to put it, but they had such a big, huge comeback with Brave New World, and people were just, over the moon excited that Dickinson was back with Adrian Smith, that I think after that tour and everything, people kind of just needed to kind of like, and decompress a bit from the whole, getting so excited with them coming back, that I think they kind of lost their love of Maiden for a record or two, but now I think everybody's coming back again,
Excellent pick, BC.
Yeah, that definitely hid in the shadows of Brave New World. I remember the album, but I'm gonna have to go back because it's been such a long time. When did that come out? Like
this one,
2002.
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that had like black and red.
2002 or 2003.
2003.
Yeah, it's been such a long time since I listened to that album.
All right.
To be honest.
Very cool. All right, I will go with my next pick, and my next pick is from a band that we've been championing here on the show, and and we actually had an interview with their drummer a couple episodes ago. The awesome DC4. Seriously, by now, guys, if you guys have not checked these guys out, check them out. The song is called Translucent Life. It is on the Triple X album, right? I'm sorry. I'm very rusty. I mean, I'm sorry, DC4 guys. But it is a great song, and it's the song. Actually, I talked to Sean about that. It's not on the download version of it, right? But it's on the Electric Ministry album. I'm sorry, guys. Triple X is one of the songs on there. But great song. Mark, have you checked these guys out since we did the interview with these guys?
No, I haven't, but it is on my list to check out. I mean, I've been so tied up with other things. I do know that, you've been championing them quite a bit, so I am going to, take the time and take a listen to them.
Yes, DC4. What can you say about these guys? Phenomenal band, kick ass, and you're thinking Triple X because your mind's always at the gutter. So, I mean, that's what
actually, I'm putting X's next to everyone's name. That would be a pick too, so I'm looking at that too.
Yeah, DC4, what an awesome band. Another band that, doesn't get enough coverage. Great sound to them. Another brothers band, making music, making kick-ass music that, it's just this tough time that people listening to music. It's heartbreaking.
Cool. Mark, what do you got for your next pick?
Okay, well, my next pick, which is my 9th pick, being the last song of my 10, you want to end with a bang, right? And really, I mean, this is sort of a tribute to our fallen brother there, Mr. Malcolm Young, that I would pick an AC/DC song in this position. Now, the album that I chose the song from is For Those About to Rock, and everybody talks about the title track all the time, how fantastic that song is, but that to me was never the best song off this album. For me, the song that has always, grabbed me and shows to me the power of Malcolm Young's riff writing is Let's Get It Up. What a great song that is. And that to me is an almost near perfect closer for my list, but there's one song that's better, and we'll wait for that one.
Great pick. When you said that, I'm trying to think of songs that you would have picked for that, and that was definitely one that was in my head. Great pick.
Exactly, great pick. Phenomenal band. How can you go wrong with anything AC/DC in my book?
Yeah.
Except for later stuff.
No, yeah, the early stuff, you can't beat it.
Cannot beat it.
Stuff that's lost vocals, it's horrible, but great pick.
Excellent pick. And BC, what do you got next?
I'm all over the board here. Let's go back to when I was a kid. Let's go with Kiss, Rocket Ride.
Yeah.
For my Ace Frehley, baby.
Another Live 2 song on the list here.
Yes, it is.
Great pick. Ace Frehley, great song. And one of the, if you had to, flip a coin between that and Shock Me, you could pick either one. Excellent pick. Mark?
I love this song, and I always kind of chuckle when I hear this song because, with all the stories about Ace being absent during the recording of the studio songs, isn't it ironic, though, that the one song that he shows up with to do for the record is the best song on the side, And I think, though, because of that, and that Kiss kind of knows that it's probably the best of that side, I think that's the reason why they never play it. I think they're so bitter at him still about that they refuse to play it.
Good point.
Good point.
You never think of it like that, but it's great to get a new, because we're talking all the time. It's nice to get somebody with a fresh mind and a different view that throws something in there like, wow, I never thought of it like that. But yeah, that's a really, really cool, really good way to look at it.
Great pick, BC.
Good job, buddy.
Good to see you're conscious for this episode. Awesome. All right, BB, what do you got?
This is where I'm going to throw my ballad in. It's from Great White, off the album Twice Shy from 1989, House of Broken Love. The way Mark Kindle plays that bluesy, long riffs in his song. Another great song that always stuck with me. I heard it the first time in 1989, and it still sticks to me today. I always throw it in there, no matter where I go. I'm always putting that one song in the shuffle mix just to keep it going, because it's such a long song, and the riffs in it are kind of somewhat slower, and it just kind of relaxes you. Well, that's going to be my ballad pick.
I think it's a great selection, honestly, because I'm not being the biggest Great White fan, but that was one song that I always thought was really, really well written. And I thought it's a standout song as far as their showing of how well they can interpret the blues as a genre. And I think it's really well done. And I would highly recommend, if anybody hasn't listened to this song yet, really download it and take a solid listen to it. It's a great song.
It is a great pick. We've seen Great White numerous times, and that's always a song you're glad to hear him belt out.
Great White. I mean, I got a little nervous there because one of my picks is Great White, but good song. I mean, good song, good band. I mean, it's a band that to me was very solid until the split, of course.
Okay, cool. Mark, what do you got for your next pick? So this would actually be the end of our initial picks, and we were going to do alternate songs, but we're going to do the alternate picks next. So, Mark, this would wrap up your top 10 list here.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So after Let's Get It Up from AC/DC, what could possibly end my list that's a better song closer than that? Well, there's only one song that I could think of that immediately came to my head that could be a great closer, and that is from Iron Maiden, and it has to be Hallowed Be Thy Name.
Yes.
That is the ultimate closer of not only a concert, but also of any song list. If you put this on last, you know that your set list has come to an end, and you're content with your list having that close it off.
Great pick. We're all just here like yes. So I don't think we really need to say any more than that. All right, great pick. I'm going to go into my will be my final pick, but not before we get into the other songs. And I'm kind of a mind like that too. And I first listened to this song. I heard it in 1977. I think I was in California visiting my cousins, and they were a couple years older, and they had some older albums, some Aerosmith and different stuff like that. And the one album that I picked out, and I always loved live music, and the album was called Frampton Comes Alive. And I was like, wow, look at this. And you open the gatefold, and it's like him. You had to kind of open it up to see the whole of him playing his Les Paul. And the song I'm going to pick is Do You Feel Like We Do? That is just, I think, a great song. Starts out great, has the kind of mellow thing in the middle, has the talk box in there with them getting with the crowd, and then just like totally kicks ass at the end. I love that song, and I had to absolutely have that on my list. Plus, it makes my list longer too, because I like the longer songs.
You know what? I'm very glad you picked that. It's such a great song, and I mean, I think they said once that 1 in every 10 person in America owns that record. But I'm telling you, the one thing about that song that is stuck in my mind is the episode of The Simpsons where he's on there and you see Otto and those guys and they're all watching, and the one kid goes, "Wow, his guitar's talking," and then you see Otto going, "My shoes are talking." And he's all high. I love that. And you got to hand it that they would put in Frampton for such a moment that he's such a icon in music that they would put him into The Simpsons.
You had a good career when you're on The Simpsons.
Exactly.
Iconic song, like you said. I mean, Frampton, iconic song, and like you said, it starts off and has a down point and then finishes off strong. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, from an iconic album for another great '70s live album that they put out, and it really puts perspective. 1 in 10 households have that album. Good pick, Righty.
Cool. BB, what do you got? This is your closer, right?
This is my closer. This is my closer. I'm gonna pick Dio, Last in Line from 1984. I remember hearing this album at my buddy's house. His brother had it. We knew Dio was from Black Sabbath days, and when he went on his own, this was the first time I heard him on his own, and Last in Line just stuck with me. Great album. 12 years old, so that just way it just took me over being 12 years old, and just his vocals are so unbelievable. It's even back then, just gripping you. And every song I hear of Dio, it paints a picture in your head, and you're gone on a trip.
Exactly. How can you go around with Dio? I mean, that's a phenomenal song.
It's a great song. That album is also a masterful second record from Dio, and it's also ironically it's interesting because while they had Claude in the band already for Holy Diver, he was never credited in it. But for this album, he finally gets full credit and finally gets to appear on stage with them. And I mean, he's pretty obviously dominant in this song. You can hear his keyboards like up front on this song, and it's a great song. I love it.
Great. I definitely got to agree with you guys. It's a phenomenal song, and it's instantly recognizable Dio song, iconic song for him. Awesome pick. BC, what's your wrap up one here?
I'm gonna get my ballot in before the 10, and gonna go with Great White. If I ever saw a good thing. I mean, when it first came out, I was kind of like, okay, but as you get older, you make sure, and it's a good song to listen to.
Yeah, that song, it grows on you, and it seems like the
Got
songs that grow on you,
in there.
it really grips you.
I gotta ask though, what album is that off of? Because I'm not familiar with this song.
Sail Away. It's kind of a mellow album. It's really not rock, and I think it's a lot of acoustic, and it's a 2 CD thing. The Sail Away album, and then the second disc is like live stuff.
All right, I'm gonna have to say I will actually have to check that out too. I'm not really familiar with that song myself.
Come on, give
BC, the only guy that closes his set with a fucking ballad.
Give Jack some love.
All right, so we're going to do 2 more songs each. We're going to call these the bonus tracks. And since we haven't heard from this guy in a while, we're going to let Dylan go first.
Okay, so my first bonus track, I guess you can call this a ballad. I'm hoping you can, because that's the only ballad I really picked, I guess, for my 2 bonus tracks. But I'm going to have to go with Alice Cooper with the song Poison. I always loved that song. It has such a nice build to it, and I love the background vocals. I think that they add a lot of character, like with the, got you under my skin deep in, and like I love the escalation of the chorus, and just builds to the great, it's one of my favorite Alice songs, actually. So Poison, off of I believe it's Trash.
It's on Trash.
Yeah,
Trash.
1989. So the opening track, and that's my opening bonus track.
It's interesting that you picked that song. I think it's an interesting song, and it probably put Alice back on track for popularity again, because he was kind of under the radar for a little while there. And the funny thing is, in Toronto, when he had released that record, he did this little jaunt across Toronto where he was standing in the back of a garbage truck, and they were blasting the album with speakers that were attached to the side of this garbage truck, and he was just going down the streets of Toronto blasting his album. And I remember Much Music stopped him, and they had an interview with him out there, and I'll never forget that. So that's kind of a fond memory that you just jigged up in my mind there.
Well, that's awesome. That's really cool.
I'm speechless after that little garbage truck. I mean, that's pretty cool, I thought. That's a way to push your album.
Yeah, especially one called Trash.
Again, Alice Cooper, come on.
Yeah, great pick, and good pick, Dylan. I kind of had a feeling you were going to pick some kind of Alice song there.
Yeah, nobody else was picking Alice. So
Good pick, though. And actually, I'm gonna, when I do mine, I'm gonna call an audible, because I had an Alice song pick, but I'm gonna go with something different now. And I just have to say that at this point in the show, BB had to leave. He has to go work a shift over at the firehouse. So I'm gonna take over his picks, and I'm going to.
Well, first off, what was the Alice song?
Huh? I was gonna pick Trigger Man.
No, that's a good one. Off Dragon
Okay.
Town.
Yes.
Both opening tracks.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a different pick when I do it. So BB's next pick for one of his bonus tracks is Uncle Tom's Cabin from Warrant, 1990. It came out. Great. One of the songs, in quotations, hits by Warrant that you actually don't mind seeing them perform. Great song. And BC, what do you got?
Again, Warrant, their second album there, and they progressed a little bit heavier sound. And then continue the next album. It was a much heavier, unlike Skid Row, which just got heavier right after the second. But like you said, you don't mind seeing that song.
Absolutely. Mark?
Yeah, it's an interesting song. I mean, I remember the first time I heard it, that little acoustic bit at the beginning before the song starts up, I was always thinking to myself, is that really one of those guys playing that? Then I realized that it was somebody totally different than the band members playing that acoustic part. But that song is a really catchy song. And I really like it. It's probably one of their top 5 all-time songs, I think.
I actually really like that song. I get excited when they play it live, especially if they do it after Heaven. I need some kind of pick me up, and that song kicks ass. It's a really just rocking song, and I'm glad it's one of their popular ones, because it's one song that it starts off cool with the acoustic, but then it doesn't let off after that.
Excellent. Good pick, BB. And, we give you praise when you actually listen to this when it's done. And have a safe shift out there. And I'm going to go next here for my first bonus track. And it's going to be an audible, because I did pick Trigger Man, but we won't do 2 Alice in a row. It's going to be Moth into Flame by Metallica.
Ooh, that's a good one.
From the Hardwire to Self-Destruct album. And I think it is I just love this song. It's probably, as we speak, my favorite Metallica song at the time. And any favorite song, there's a sliding scale, but it is just a kick-ass song. That the part in the middle, where the riff changes and he's singing over it, it's just fucking phenomenal.
I agree. That's a great song and a great album. To me, it is a very strong foundation there. Footprint.
You guys might boo me for saying this, but I've stopped buying anything from Metallica after the Black Album. Load really set me for a loop when I heard that. So I don't know, just I'm a very devoted Metallica fan up to Justice for All. And after that, they completely lost me. Now, I will take a listen to this song because I do respect your guys' opinion on music, so I will check this song out.
Check it out.
I would even say, like, starting Death Magnetic on, it's a return to form for their thrash stuff. It's not as, like, popular music, like the Black Album or, like,
not as mainstream.
Yeah. They definitely go back to their thrash roots, starting with Death Magnetic and definitely going into Hardwired, especially Moth into Flame. That song kicks ass. It has a lot of really cool changes.
I have to agree with Dylan on that Death Magnetic.
I
was like you, Mark. I was done with Metallica, but then recently I started listening to it. It's good. And then this new one, Hardwired,
is very good.
Back to Metallica, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay, BC, since you're going, continue. What do you got for your bonus track?
I'm going to start with Judas Priest, Snake Bite.
Ooh.
Which was, I guess, a little bonus CD with Redeemer of Souls. It's just good, hard Judas Priest.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I love Redeemer of Souls. I thought that it was a much better album than the Return record with Halford there. I think that this one has a more metallic sound to it. It sounds heavier, and I just think that the songs are much stronger on this record as well.
Yeah, I honestly think Redeemer of Souls is a really solid late era Judas Priest album. Like Angel of Retribution, that was okay. Nostradamus, that completely lost me. The only good song on there is Prophecy, is it called?
There's a couple. There's Prophecy. Yeah. Persecution is really good on there. Yeah.
But like, I think Redeemer of Souls is definitely like
redeemed
a great.
Themselves.
Yeah,
right. They redeemed themselves.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say great pick. I think the Redeemer of Souls is a great album. It was really cool with the bonus stuff on there. I think there's 5 or 6 songs extra on there. Real good, solid pick. And I just want to say to everybody out there, Judas Priest we have an album coming out next year, and it's Return with Tom Allom that produced Screaming for Vengeance, and Andy Sneap is also a producer on that, which he's a producer that I champion on the show too. He does the new Accept albums, and he's done all the new Exodus stuff, and he's just a phenomenal metal producer. And if Kiss ever did another album, he would be the guy that I would definitely pick to produce Kiss's new album, which I don't think in a million years you'll see Paul Stanley give up the helm for someone to produce, but he would be my pick for that. Excellent pick, BC. And now, Mark, what's your first bonus track?
Well, my first bonus track is another Genesis song. Now, I was originally thinking about having this one in, but it didn't really fit my flow of my list. And it's also because, and I'll tell you what the song is, it's Land of Confusion, which is off of the Invisible Touch album. I really love this song. It's kind of kick-ass Genesis with a message, and that's kind of the reason why I didn't put it on my list, is because when I'm kind of out and about and driving and chilling out, I don't want to be kind of hammered over the head with any kind of political messages, which is kind of what they're doing in Land of Confusion. But overall, I think it's a really great song. And I mean, we saw what other bands do to it when they cover it. They can really heavy it up, and it sounds pretty good, like Disturbed.
Great pick. And actually, when you said that, I was asking Dylan, who covered that, and I'm not and you can ask BC. BC's a big Disturbed fan. And I'm not down with those guys at all, but they do an excellent version of it. But it is a very cool song, and I distinctly remember the video for that song. It had all the puppets and stuff, and them pressing the button and all that shit. Very, very cool song.
I agree. I mean, back in the day, the video with the puppets and everything, but I was never a big Genesis. And then when Disturbed came out, I was like, yeah. I always like when a band takes an older song and puts a new twist to it.
Yeah, that's another song with really cool background vocals. I dig some good backup, and I really like it in the chorus. It's a really catchy sing-along part, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, very cool. And I will go with my next pick real quick here. And I'm with Mark, and I believe that this band should be out there with anyone's kind of pick, and I'm going to pick Red Barchetta by Rush, and the version from R40, which huge fan of, as you guys know, live music, and Red Barchetta has always been my favorite Rush song. I love that song, and it's just a fantastic song live, and when they do it live, they have the visuals behind them with the cars and stuff. It's just a phenomenal song.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, that's a song where the music and the words marry together up very well. And I mean, you can just envision the car drive the guy's having as Geddy sings it.
Yeah, I really like the R40 version especially. I like the R40 in general because they did this really cool thing where they went backwards through their catalog. They started with Clockwork Angels stuff, and then they changed their stage setups for each of the tours that they did. So like they had, like at the very end when they were playing stuff from their first album, they just had like 2 amps on top of like gym chairs, and they had like a disco ball coming down, and it looked like a gymnasium.
That was great.
I thought that the R40 tour was really awesome, and I do like the version of Red Barchetta from that.
I agree with these guys with the version being the Gris, and I agree with Steve. When it comes to Rush live, you can't top it.
Yeah, and just let me put one more thing in here.
Sure.
This R40 tour was absolutely brilliant, and is one of the things that I use to argue with Kiss fans when they talk about how, the Kiss stage sets, because Julian was always complaining about how Kiss have not really did anything new and radical with their stage set in years. And I told him, I go, that's a prime example of it. That look at Rush. They could go through their whole career and represent time periods throughout their whole career with just simple changes to their set, and people loved it. And Kiss, I don't know why they can't seem to grasp this kind of idea of, innovating their stage a little bit more. They just haven't done it. Stuck with the same idea for the last 15 years,
Because they're lazy.
They need to break out the rotisserie chicken.
Yeah. Maybe they could borrow the washing machines off of Rush for a tour.
See what I mean? That was already 2 different things from 2 different tours, right there that you mentioned. And,
And it's like, it's crazy because, they're known as a quirky band, and it's just like people are like, wow, look at that. Because I remember BC and I were watching a Rush video at the Firehouse the one day. It was I think it was the R30 video. And one of our older friends that came in, he has since passed away, and we're watching it, and he's like, what the fuck are you guys watching? We're watching a concert. So what the fuck do they have washing machines on the fucking stage for?
They got a goddamn washing machine on the stage.
And he was totally freaked out by it, but it was one of those things it was extremely noticeable, and it was something, just quirky to put on there, but it's something you remember,
Exactly.
And I saw Kiss in Vegas, and it was just, it was a lot of lights and a lot of lasers and everything like that, but there was nothing specific that you can remember from a Kiss stage set. The only thing you can really remember from a Kiss stage set in the last couple of years is when they did the big spider.
Yeah, that's it.
And everything else has just been kind of a different set of lights and lasers and TV screens. There's been nothing innovative in a Kiss stage set in forever. They always have the risers and the drums go up and everything like that, but there's been nothing that's just been, you walk out of there going, holy fuck, they were great, but man, that stage was really cool. There's nothing that stands out that's worth the conversation.
Yep, I agree.
All right, very cool. BC, what's your next pick?
This is so hard. This is one of the hardest things for me, but I'm going to go with a time in my life. I'm going to go with Motley Crue, 10 Seconds of Love. Back then, to me, shout out to the double era of Motley Crue was Motley Crue, and then they got a little glammy after that, and then they never really had that edge after that.
Yeah, I like this album. Shout Out to Devil was one of those records. Living in a house where my parents were, immigrated from Europe, and when they saw, a record that had like a pentagram on the front, and then they opened the record and they had these guys in there that looked completely outlandish, you had to kind of hide that record from the parents when you first bought it, right? But it's a great record. It's very strong, and like BC said, I don't think that they really, ever got back to that point again.
No, I agree. That's if I had to pick a song off of Shout at the Devil, 10 Seconds of Love would definitely be my pick.
I love how in sync everybody is on that song, like with the
Yeah.
like, and then like the guitar mimicking the chorus is really cool, like towards the end, and it's just like it's a different kind of groove for Motley Crue, where like it's a little experimental at times with it, and they're trying out some new stuff, and it sounds cool, and Vince actually sounds decent. So
That's back when
it's a
he's
good
saying.
song, yeah.
Very good pick. All right, Mark, this is it. This is the swan song here for you.
Yeah, so my last pick, my alternate pick, is of course going to be a Rush song. Now, I was thinking to myself, what could I possibly, have as an alternate from Rush? I mean, every song that's out there that they've done, I've really thoroughly enjoyed. But one of the songs that I always thought was a real fantastic song, and I was one of those people who was always kind of wishing that they would pull this song out and play it again. It had been years and years and years since they had played it. And I mean, it even got to the point where they pulled out George Costanza's father there in that image when he started bitching about it. And you know what song I'm going to pick? Passage to Bangkok.
Passage to Bangkok.
I mean, I love that song. And I think that, if any song deserves to be swapped out and that song put in, I mean, I think that it's a good, alternate to use.
Yeah, great pick. And it's funny because you said they had
Jerry Stiller.
Jerry Stiller on there, Frank Costanza, and because he said, why don't you play that song? And then when they did it in the medley, they put his face back up there, and he's like headbanging to it. really cool. And great pick.
Again, a great pick, and like you said, the video is. Rush was always good with doing, to me, good videos.
Yeah.
They weren't just.
They always have a good sense of humor.
They have a good sense of humor in their videos. It was never just like them playing on a stage, blah blah blah. Their videos are always like you always chuckle to watch them.
Yeah, I really like it. It's off 2112, which I think is an amazing album and a risky album for them to do because like the studio's like, we want singles, and they were like, well, let's do a whole one side is just one long song. But Passage to Bangkok is a great single song on that album. I really like it.
Great pick, and we're going to go to BB's next. His last pick, and his is from Wasp. It's called Heavens Hung in Black from the Dominator album in 2007. Very, very cool song, very atmospheric song.
Very.
I'm sorry that we don't have BB's take on it, but that was his pick for his final bonus track.
I'm not familiar with this song, to be honest. I do love Wasp, but I hadn't really followed them much. I mean, I think after KFD, I hadn't really gotten anything really from Wasp, so I'll have to check this one out.
Yeah, definitely check out the Wasp after KFD. I mean, I like KFD. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, especially the female crowd.
Well, everybody likes KFC.
Not KFC, KFD. But after that album, a lot of people were a little leery of Wasp. But we've been diehard Wasp fans. So,
Yeah, it was very industrial by then.
very industrial, don't get me wrong. But we stuck with them. And seriously, check out the stuff after that, Mark.
I will.
Definitely. All right, Dylan, you're going to wrap it up with the picks here. Go ahead, buddy.
So I was happy that Mark picked the David Bowie song. I was going to pick one if nobody else did. I ended up picking one, but it's a cover. It's actually Motorhead covering Heroes, and it was recently released on their Undercover album that was just released this year. But their cover of Heroes is actually really good. Like, I didn't think that Lemmy could pull off Sentimental, and I don't know. I really like the way that he sings it. I still like Bowie's version better, but it's a really interesting and cool take on the song, and I think it's a loving tribute to Lemmy, that this was like the first track that was released off of this posthumous album.
I just recently heard it not too long ago. I mean, I'm not too familiar with it, but yeah, it's definitely surprising.
Yeah, it's
That's what I
different from
gotta say.
Motorhead.
It's surprising, as I would say.
Well, I definitely have to hear this because just the thought of Lemmy doing any kind of a heartfelt, song like that. I mean, I remember the very first time I heard that song, Love Me Forever, off of 1916. I thought that I was hearing things like Lemmy doing a ballad. Like, come on. But I got to check it out because I love Bowie. Heroes is such an iconic song. I'd love to hear what he did with it.
Yeah, it is. It is a great song, and it is surprising to hear Lemmy do a sentimental type song. And actually, on Bad Magic, the last album that he put out, last studio album, there's a song called "Till the End" on there, and that's kind of a prophetic song if you listen to that. And he passed away maybe a year after that was out, and so definitely check out Heroes and check out "Till the End" too. That was a very, like, you hear that song, you're like, wow. Especially if you listen to it after he passed away. Very, very kind of prophetic.
And it's kind of weird that there's almost a connection between Bowie and Lemmy in that sense, because if you listen to David Bowie's last album, Black Star, there are a lot of songs that are very prophetic, especially the song Lazarus, which I think is also an amazing song. But it's weird that we, like, these two icons connect somehow in a weird way. But
well, I mean, Black Star, me being a huge Bowie fan, I've read a lot about his whole career, and Black Star basically is an album. If you listen to that, that's the sound of a person knowing that he's dying.
Absolutely.
Like that album, beginning to end.
I will definitely have to check that out. I'm not a
really
huge Bowie guy. I will definitely check that out. And you guys out there, that wraps up our iPod list. It's going to be Mark's cruising list, our iPod Island list. And what would you guys pick out there? Give us at least 10 songs. Throw a ballad in there, though. We need a ballad. And what would you guys pick? Give us live songs. Give us studio songs. Give us covers, remakes, whatever you want to do. And let's go around the horn here. Dylan.
I think this is a cool idea. It's always like desert island movies and stuff like that, and it's cool to have a desert island playlist because you're stuck on an island and like, what are you listening to? I think it's a cool discussion, and everybody has their own different things, so it's cool to hear.
Exactly. This was when you first mentioned it, doing the show, and I was like, that's cool. And then when you really sat down and you start thinking about it, it was very hard to do.
It's hard to narrow it down.
I could dig this. I could have did 10 Iron Maiden songs.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to do. But I mean, one thing that I kind of implore the people to do that are listening is take, everybody's list that we just said, put it into your iPod and check it out. Check out the flow of it and see how it works, because I think it's interesting. I'm going to do that with your guys' list. I'm going to put it into my, my playlist here and see how it flows as a playlist, because I always find that interesting to see how these songs would match up. I did that. I did my list with that in mind. So if people are interested, put those songs in a list and listen to it and see how it flows.
Right, and it's funny that Mark says that. When I was doing my list, I kind of I picked the songs out, and what I did was I arranged them. I was thinking, okay, if I was a cover band out there and I was doing a concert, what order would I put these songs in a set list? And that's how I kind of went about mine. Started out with Sad Man's Tongue, rockin' song, and then ended up with the epic Do You Feel Like We Do, everything in the middle, threw the ballad in the middle there to kind of break things up. And like Mark said, you guys out there, put the playlists in. And if you guys out there send me a playlist, I will absolutely put it in I'll make a playlist of it, and I will check it out, and I'll let you guys know what I think about it. And I want to thank everybody for coming on here. Dylan, final words.
Check out all these songs. They're on our playlist for a reason. We all think that they're great songs that definitely stand out and represent the artists at their peak. I really think that everybody did a really good job.
All right, Mark, give us your final words and give us it's shameless plug time. Plug your podcast, plug your Project Gemini, whatever you got for us, and your goodbyes. What do you got for us?
Well, like I said, I really enjoyed coming on here, chatting with you guys. The songs that we all picked I found were very interesting. There's obviously quite a few of them that I didn't know, so I'm always now interested to go back and listen to some of these songs. As far as my own happenings, I am on the KISS FAQ podcast, so all you need to do is just go to thekissfaq.com and you'll find us on there. There's tons and tons of podcast episodes you can check out. And I'm also doing the Yes music podcast. That's every Friday. We have a new episode that comes up. All things Yes related are spoken there. Also, I have my own YouTube channel, which is the Project Gemini channel, and I do a lot of Project Gemini updates about my record releases and what's going on, and even what's going on within my little supporter club. I don't call it a fan club. I think that's disrespectful. I call my people supporters, not fans. And I think that they find these sort of updates interesting, and I like to send out packages to people who are in my club to show them the respect that they deserve. And they keep updated on there. And my new record's going to be coming out December 1st. So there's lots going on, and you can hear and read all about it on www.projectgemini.com.
All right, thank you, Mark. I just want to say to everybody out there, I really appreciate Mark coming on the show here. And Mark is an artist out there that other artists can take a cue from, I would say, because
learn from
BC and I, us guys on the podcast, we're supporters, and BC and I know we're in the Gemini Club, and Mark sends out stuff all the time. He sends out updates and buttons and stickers and everything, keeps everybody up to date on what's going on. If, all these other bands that are out there could take a page from what Mark's doing for his supporters, and I appreciate him calling us supporters other than fans. And his music is fantastic. Check out Project Gemini. Ordinary Day is already out. Brand New Day is coming out December 1st, as Mark said. Mark plays everything on these albums. It's self-played, self-produced. Check it out. And I want to thank, as always, Dylan for taking care of the technical stuff here. My co-host BC and BB. Hope BB has a safe shift tonight. He had to leave early, like I said. And Mark, I want to thank you again for coming on with us.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really, really enjoy being on here, and anytime you want me back, I'll be here.
Absolutely. We will definitely have Mark back. And I want to say thank you to everybody out there. And check us out on iTunes, on CastBox, anywhere you could get a podcast. We have a YouTube page. We have a Facebook page. Check us out. Tell us about your friends. Let us know what you guys think about the show. If you think we're totally crazy about some of the stuff we say and pick, let us know. If you guys have an idea for a show, let us know what you guys think. Because the show we did tonight, that was an idea from one of the guys that BB works with at his job, and here we are. We just did a full show on that. So if you guys have an idea for a show, we could definitely, if we like it, or we can check it out and do it, and we can maybe even have you on to do the show. And I want to say once again, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you next time, and there will be a next time.